Good evening, Azeroth, and welcome to episode 179 of the world of Goldcraft. I'm the Lazy Goldmaker of thelazygoldmaker.com, and I'm going to be chatting about gold making. So, if you're not already aware, I recorded this show on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/lazygoldmaker. You can come join us on Thursdays. We're do gold making, mostly looking at Dragonflight beta stuff. Well, not today because it wasn't online, but that's life. So yeah, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about Dragonflight. I'm going to share my thoughts on crafting orders. And I recently watched Mantius's video. It's a week or two old. There'll be a link in the description. And I wanted to share my thoughts on the system and what role I think that the system is intended to fill and whether or not it's going to work out. And part here of the point here is that I disagree with some of the points that Mantius is making. Now, obviously, I'm a huge fan of Mantius. He's a literal lifesaver with all of his beta content. But it's interesting to have some discussion in the gold making space as well. This is not actually an echo chamber. We have some differences of opinion. Now, for those of you living under a rock or just not following Dragonflight closely, crafting orders is a completely new trade system. It's an NPC. You place an order for a crafted item where you can either include some or all of the materials. If there are any bind on pickup materials, then you have to include those. And then you offer a commission. You set the duration similar to an auction, and then you hope someone comes along and fills it and crafts the item for you. Crafters can then go to the same NPC, look at all of the public crafting orders, and just be like, okay, I'm going to do this one. If someone else has provided all the materials, then you can literally just click a button and get free gold. Otherwise, you might have to provide some materials. There's two types of orders, though. There's the public ones that everyone can see, and then there's private orders. You can send orders specifically to a character, to only guildies, or whatever. The public orders are limited. You can only craft 30 of them per day. The private orders, you can craft as many as you can find people to craft to in trade chat. So Mantius is unhappy with this system, and he cites a number of quality of life and usability issues. And while I agree with him, that there's a bunch of friction points in crafting orders that are not like super streamlined. I disagree with him that these are significant issues with the system or that they're necessarily bad for the game, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. Because his main issue that he talks about in his video is that the system does not give much feedback. It's a little bit hard and annoying to use. So as an example, if you want to craft a specific item, so you go there and you look up whatever sword you want from blacksmithing. And then you see that you don't have the materials. Okay, I have to go to the auction house, and that's fairly far away. So you have to fly dragon ride up there. Oh, what were the materials? You have to remember what they were. And then get back there and then set the order. And then you have to figure out what the reasonable price is. What's the reasonable duration? And then the big question, when are you ever going to get this item? You don't know that. You have to hope someone comes along and fills it. This is a way more annoying process than just rolling up on the auction house, paying 20,000, 400,000 gold, whatever, getting your item and being on your way. That's obvious. Obviously, this is a more time-consuming process for the buyer, but I think it's intended that way, essentially. It's my opinion. Part of this is because I think they want to introduce a little bit more social interaction and friction, and part of that is I think, the very, very important feature of the crafting order system that I actually put at the end of my script, but I'm going to move it up because it's so important, is the fact that the crafting orders means that the buyer sets the price. They set the profit margin instead of the seller. And that's hugely important because Blizzard wants profession to have extremely good items, very powerful stuff, but not to be super expensive. And if any of us remember Shadowlands legendaries, they were super strong. They were annoying to get. They were wildly profitable. Literally hundreds of thousands of gold on profit margin for the first weeks. Or the first day of the patch launches and expansions. This time around, we can craft like literally mythic item level weapons. Demand is going to be huge, obviously. So if you force people to use the crafting order system for this, you also force them to be in a system where the buyer sets the profit margin. They can supply all the materials and they can say, I'm willing to pay 5,000 gold. I can guarantee you that no one in the right mind is going to be, I have all the materials for an epic weapon. I'm now going to put out an offer to craft this for 5 times more than what the materials cost. They're not going to do that. And that's, I think Blizzard is realizing that, and they're putting the price setting initially in the buyer's hands, and also the fact that the buyers provide the materials, so they take like the price risk on the materials. You don't take that as a crafter anymore, which means that you should expect less profit. You're not taking the same amount of risk. And I mean, my experience with players who are looking for crafting services in Classic, they tip like minuscule amounts. I had someone literally tip me like 15 gold for doing an enchant where the materials cost like 1,200 gold. Like paying 1%, because that's what they expect. Like, I have all the materials. Why should I pay a lot of money to have someone just like click a button and spend 3 seconds of their time enchanting my sword? That's the mentality, and that's, I think, one of the important reasons why they're doing the crafting order system. I also think that some of the negatives were surrounding the quality of life and the annoyances of the system are not that huge, or rather, I think that they are stuff that will very quickly be solved by the community, because sometimes when games provide you with like annoying aspects or hoops to jump through, that's also an opportunity for social solutions to appear and alleviate the problem, and some of those social solutions can help increase the social aspects of playing an MMO. And that's what I'm sort of hoping for with the crafting order system. Because with the crafting order system, then maybe you're incentivized to making friends with crafters, making sure that your guildies have a wide variety of crafting professions, interacting with other players to make sure that you can get your order filled right away. Obviously, in Classic, for instance, people are super willing to buy the materials and have someone craft the item for them. It's annoying. Maybe you have to have the materials on another monitor. But I think that part of it, I don't think that's a big deal. Like, people have been doing that in Classic, in TBC Classic, in Wrath Classic. A lot of people are very comfortable just buying all the materials for a recipe, looking that up, and then just finding a crafter. I think that's also going to be the solution that the community very quickly stumbles upon. Of course, if you put up a crafting order with like just the bind and pickup materials and nothing else, and it doesn't fill, then you might be annoyed. But then you can maybe look at some other crafting orders and you very quickly understand why no one's filling it, and maybe you'll just have to ask in trade chat, hey, I'm looking for someone to craft item X, and then some crafter will message you and be like, yeah, just send me a personal order with all the materials and I'll fix it for whatever gold amount that they think is reasonable. So obviously this is still going to be more annoying for players, but people are very willing to do this for high ticket items. There were some people trying to do this with legendaries, I remember. I usually just didn't respond, because like, why am I going to do this? Why am I going to spend a lot of extra time and effort having to go to the guy and craft it for him when my crafter is situated somewhere with like a mailbox and a forge right next to each other? I'm not going to bother with that when I can make more money just selling them straight up on the auction house and taking the risk. So I think that that in that respect, it's just going to be that's something that people won't have much problem with, in my personal opinion. It's very, very common. Now, public orders, the part about not knowing if your order is going to fill, I think that's actually going to be very, very annoying with public orders. People want to get the item that they want right away. Absolutely. 100% they want to do that. But this is again where the social solutions will come into play. The easiest way to avoid having to wait an unknown amount of time to get your order filled is to just go in trade chat. I want to get item X crafted, or go to your guildies, or go to your friends list. And then you send that person a personal order instead, and you get it fulfilled right away. I think that's going to be a solution that many people are going to lean towards. And now that we have trade services as a separate channel for boosts, then I think hopefully that trade chat is going to be booming, with players looking to sell their professional crafts through personal orders, and people looking to buy them. And with professions finally providing some very strong items again, I think this is going to be quite fun. And it's also, this is important, this is not in my favor. I hate using trade chat to talk to people. I'm an introverted nature. I love the spreadsheets. I love making TSM settings. I don't like sitting in trade chat having to talk to people. There's a reason why I never leveled enchanting in Classic. But this is going to favor other people who are maybe a little bit more extroverted, people who like haggling, people who like chatting to people in trade. They're going to now have an incentive to engage with the gold making part of the minigame, which has mostly been like almost you're emulating a bot by just crafting, buying materials, crafting, posting on the auction house with as much automation as possible. So in that sense, I think this is also a nice little shake-up of the gold making meta game. Maybe this is even going to make it a little bit less attractive for bots if most of the trade is actually happening in trade chat and people sending personal orders, because the bots, they can do their 30 public orders a day and then they're done with their crafting order system. Unless they can actually find a way to automate generating orders through trade, which is a lot harder and potentially easier to ban out. Now, obviously, for like how you're going to price your orders, this is an issue for public orders. I agree. This is going to be solved either with add-ons or by the very quickly player standard just converging on some kind of standard behavior, which I'm assuming is going to be you provide all the materials and then a fee on top. If you're going to try to price the materials, I don't think crafters are going to like that arrangement. Outside of the potential that crafters early on might be jumping on literally every public order they can get their hands on to level up their profession. I know for a fact that that's what I'll be doing probably early on. You want to power level to 100, and you have to do that with BOP recipes for most professions, which means you just literally have to do whatever you can to get orders. But then once people are leveled, then that might not be so worthwhile. Sure, your 30 public orders a day is just free gold. We have no idea how the volume is going to be. This is a completely new system. We could be anywhere from like there being so many crafters that any order that's posted is just filled instantly, to where like there's just so many orders that crafters don't bother with unless there's high profit, or maybe crafters just want personal orders and they're just looking in trade chat to get their big orders. I think that's something we'll just have to wait and see. And that's actually one of the main things. Like, this kind of system can't be tested. They can only test that the actual functionality works, but the effects, they can't be tested until it's live. Which is going to be insanely interesting. I'm just super interested. This is going to shake up gold making in a huge way. It's going to lead to old methods not working anymore. It's going to lead to completely new niches that are going to be very, very interesting. And it's going to be very fun. Now, obviously, most of what I said here is pure opinion. Neither me or Manthias is, I think, more right or wrong. We just have our different opinions. I agree with him on a lot of the basic facts on like the system. Yeah, it's not super streamlined. It's not super easy to use. I just don't think that's a huge deal. I think it's completely fine to have some friction in games. I think Retail WoW is a little bit too streamlined. I think more friction is going to give more rise to social solutions to game problems, which makes an MMO like World of Warcraft a little bit more enjoyable to play, or can make it, because I think the social aspect is a very important part of playing an MMO. If you're just playing with some faceless auction house and everything else solo, which I think maybe it has been a little bit too easy to do. No hate on solo only players. It's fun to play solo RPGs and stuff, and you can definitely play WoW that way. But that's not where WoW is best, in my opinion. It's best as a social game where you engage with a guild and engage with other players. And I'm saying this as a hardcore introvert, so yeah. Either way, we'll have to wait until it's out and see. Like, we could be anywhere from like this is a total disaster to it's amazing. And this is both from like a gold making perspective and from like a general usability use case. It is going to be the only source of binom pickup gear, which is going to be incredibly strong in Dragonflight, so I think it's going to be used a lot. But how will the balance of crafters to people looking to get stuff crafted, how is that going to be? Who knows? It's going to be exciting to find out. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you haven't checked out Mantheus's videos on the beta, you absolutely should. He has tons of great information. And even though I disagree with him here, I think he's one of the good ones in the gold making community. So lastly, we have a question here from Dirty Irby, who's finally back. Where would you rank Dragonflight in profit potential compared to previous expansions? You said in an earlier podcast that this might be the biggest for those with multiple alts. Yeah, I think this, due to how knowledge works, particularly for like higher quality items, you're going to be competing with just a very select group of players. So after like the first week, you're gonna be I don't know exactly how much knowledge you'll have, maybe somewhere between 50 and 100, which means that you can maybe craft 2 recipes at quality 5 for an armor profession or weapon profession. 2 recipes or two weapon types, and then every other blacksmith can only craft 2, and they might pick the same, or they might pick others than what you're doing. So there's going to be huge barriers to entry early on, so that's going to mean you have a lot of limited competition. And then on top of that, you can craft mythic item level weapons, mythic item level armor, including very strong extra effects with the embellished system. So overall, like, people are going to be looking to have a lot of crafted gear, using crafted gear to a huge degree this time around. Of course, the crafting is limited by the spark of ingenuity and the other bind and pickup materials, which is going to limit like how fast you can actually get these items crafted for you. But the profit potential is huge. Obviously, as I was discussing earlier, crafting orders, I think they're going to have less profit relative to material costs compared to something like legendaries, where you could set the price and sell them for 3, 4, 5 times the material cost early on. So maybe this isn't as good as Shadowlands was. They're definitely aiming to not make it as good. Like, that's what they've said that they want. They want to have recipes not be as expensive as Shadowlands. So they definitely want to limit the profitability. Hopefully they focus on doing that through reducing or increasing material access. But we'll just have to see. I think it's very hard to try to rate ahead of time, particularly with like the huge change of how professions even work. But I think the profit potential is very high. For gear specifically, and definitely if you're first to market with stackable items, if you're first to market with quality 3 alloys, or first to market with quality 3 files, then obviously you can make an incredible amount of gold since you're selling to the entire region. But if you're not first to market, then you're not going to make as much there. So I'm going to focus on armor and weapons, which is where I won't have to compete with everyone on the EU. I can just compete with everyone on Draenor, which is still a lot of people, but a lot more manageable. So, managed to eke in a long answer as well. That's going to be it for the episode. Almost 18 minutes runtime. That's a long one. Haven't been this long in a while. Thanks for watching. If you think I'm an idiot for disagreeing with Mantheus, then do let me know in the comments. Or if you think I'm a genius, I'm probably neither. Probably just some normal dude having opinions on making gold in a video game. But either way, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, listening, wherever you consume this. We'll see you on the next, or hear you on the next episode. Bye, guys.